This One's Wife. Not so happy Harry. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The Duke of Sussex has lost his appeal against the government over his security. Prince Harry argued that he was singled out for unjustified and inferior treatment when he was denied the right to automatic police protection in the United Kingdom. You'll recall that he flew to London last month to attend a 2-day hearing at the Court of Appeal, during which his barrister argued that the Home Office committee responsible for VIP security arrangements had failed to adhere to its own policies. You'll also recall this was at the hearing where a supposed supporter of Prince Harry suddenly appeared, and people wondered if this was some disingenuous attempt to try and turn the mind of the judges. I explained at the time it wouldn't work if that was what was intended, and indeed, if it was some form of attempt, it hasn't worked because he's lost. The ruling, handed down by Sir Geoffrey Voss, Lord Justice Bean and Lord Justice Edis, will come as a huge blow to the Duke, who is adamant that without state-backed security, it is too dangerous to bring his wife or children back to the United Kingdom. This, of course, is nothing to do with the fact that the United Kingdom is a dangerous place, and after all, they've been to Colombia and Nigeria, which are far more dangerous places than the United Kingdom. It's about money. It's about acquiring that residual benefit and getting somebody else to pay for the security. We know that this one's wife loves to have security because it makes her feel important, that she can triangulate people with the presence of security. She has no interest in returning to the United Kingdom, and this defeat is likely to place additional pressures upon Harry as a consequence of his wife maintaining, well, I'm definitely not going back if our security can't be guaranteed and paid for. Why should we have to pay for it, Harry? After all, they drummed us out of the United Kingdom. It's a horrible and awful place. Naturally, her narcissism causes her to regard the people and the media in the United Kingdom as painted black, and thus she perpetuates that attitude. She seems to think that there are hordes of middle-aged white women waiting to throw tomatoes at her, when in actual fact, most people will either not be interested or would simply express their disapproval. Failing to obtain taxpayer-funded security is a blow to the Sussexes because it demonstrates that they are not regarded as important as they think they are, and of course anything which impacts upon the finances of a somatic narcissist, i.e. in terms of a further drain, is problematic and amounts to a threat to control. The appeal was widely considered his last roll of the dice, bringing to an end a 3.5-year legal battle that the Duke admitted was even more significant than his legal crusade against the tabloid press. This one always mattered the most, he told the Telegraph newspaper in April. Oh dear. Well, not only will his pride have taken a battering from this, also will his finances. He will face a substantial bill for his own legal team, but he'll also have been ordered, because the appeal has been unsuccessful, to pay the costs of the government. And whilst I don't have the details of what those amounts actually are precisely, it's usually the case that the losing party would have to pay somewhere in the region of 60 to 70% of the costs, and that isn't going to go down well either with the Duchess of Delusion, that their money is going to be spent on legal costs. Remember, the arrogance of this one's wife and also Harry is that they believe that they're entitled to this security, that they're entitled to it being paid by other people, even from a country that she has no real interest in, other than utilising its characteristics by way of character trait acquisition for her stupid business and the utilisation of the title. Beyond that, she has no interest in the United Kingdom, routinely painting it black. But now, taxpayer-funded security is being denied to them, and they will be left with a hefty tax bill. It looks like someone's going to have to start flogging more spread. The Duke said he believed his police protection was withdrawn to trap him and this one's wife in the UK, paranoia, adding that his worst fears had been confirmed by the secret evidence heard in court behind closed doors. He remains convinced that the decision was imposed upon him as some form of punishment. This is the paranoia of the Duke, which will be massaged on a regular basis by this one's wife, and why he's easy to control. She will continue to feed the idea that they're being punished. She naturally regards it that way because of her victim mentality as a narcissist. Harry also has a victim mentality, but for other reasons, and between the two of them, this causes them to believe that they aren't at fault and that essentially they're being picked on, that it simply isn't fair. It's not yet known whether he will now apply for permission to appeal to the Supreme Court, but I'd have to say that with 2 defeats already, it's not looking good. And whilst his lawyers might think, well, we could milk this cash cow a bit further, one wonders if he's got the stomach to go further. The ruling raises the prospect that the Duke's children may never again be brought back to the United Kingdom to see British relatives, including the King. To my mind, this issue of security is just a convenient excuse that's being utilised by the Sussexes, and that certainly this one's wife is unlikely to appear in the United Kingdom again unless there was some overriding benefit to her, and that she's quite content to keep the children away from the British side of the family because she has no emotional empathy for them. The Sussexes had flown back with their children for the Platinum Jubilee in June 2022, the only time that Lilibet, who was born in California, has met the King. In a witness statement filed to the High Court, the Duke said he didn't believe his children could feel at home in the UK if it was not possible to keep them safe. The UK is my home. The UK is central to the heritage of my children and a place I want them to feel at home as much as when they live in the moment in the United States, he said. That cannot happen if it's not possible to keep them safe when they are on UK soil. I cannot put my wife in danger like that, and given my experiences in life, I am reluctant to unnecessarily put myself in harm's way too. Although interestingly, there doesn't appear to be much in the way of actual evidence that shows that their lives are actually under threat. Security has long been a red line for the Duke, who fears history repeating itself following the death of his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, in a parish car crash, although of course he's been perfectly content to go to New York, to go to Jamaica, to go to Colombia, to go to Nigeria, demonstrating the hypocrisy of these pair of planks. When he and this one's wife first announced their plans to quit royal duties, they insisted that effective security would still be needed to protect them. But the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, RAVEC, swiftly concluded that a flexible and tailored approach was best suited to the Duke's new circumstances. Their plan to live abroad as private citizens did not fit readily into any category in its framework, meaning that automatic Metropolitan Police protection was no longer appropriate and would be withdrawn. Instead, the couple were required to give 30 days' notice of any travel plans so each visit could be assessed on its merits. When the Duke was told of the decision in early 2020, he was furious, demanding to be given the names of those responsible. In an email sent to the then Cabinet Secretary, Sir Mark Sedwill, he expressed disbelief, insisting that he be told who had put him in a position of such vulnerability and risk. He offered to pay for his security, but was told the Met was not for hire. The Duke applied for a judicial review in September 2021, shortly after a visit to the UK when he felt his security was compromised. The challenge was based on an alleged lack of transparency about RAVEC's composition and processes. He also claimed he had been singled out and treated less favourably than others by RAVEC, which had subjected him to unlawful and unfair treatment. The Duke believed he faced a greater risk than his late mother, with additional layers of racism and extremism, his barrister had told the court. The ruling is unlikely to relieve tensions between the Duke and his father, the King, and the loss means the Duke will continue to rarely return to the UK on behalf of his charities. Prince Harry had made it clear that he believed the monarch had the power to reinstate his police protection, with one friend previously saying that if the matter was resolved, it would be swords down. Buckingham Palace strongly refuted the Duke's claims, with sources insisting it would be wholly inappropriate for the monarch to intervene. The Duke's only outstanding legal case is his joint claim against the Associated Newspapers, scheduled to go to trial in January 2026. Accordingly, another defeat for Harry in court. Security will not be provided to him by the taxpayer. His ego is dented, that of this one's wife is also, and it could be something that drives a further wedge between the two of them, because after all, his successes are her successes, but his defeats are his and his alone. Naturally, this one's wife will not accept that there's any fault on her part, and she will certainly not be pleased about the expenditure and cost liability arising from this. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.